Welcome back to this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Monday, August 7th. And we're going to cover two transits, okay? Because I'm a little bit behind. I apologize. I'm sorry. The new transit started yesterday on August 6th. So we're going to talk about that. And then there's a new transit that starts next Saturday on the 12th. So we're actually going to cover both of those today. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to make a comment about a Jupiter transit because Jupiter moved into the gate 2 on July 28th. Now the gate 2, it's right here. It's known as the Magnetic Monopole in the lore of human design. It's a single pole magnet which attracts. And you've probably heard me say by now, and you've probably learned this elsewhere, that the heart creates a huge magnetic field. It's much, much greater than the magnetic field of the brain, and the electrical field of the brain is like huge. The heart is really kind of the center that is, in the yoga tradition, we call it the sun. And so it is this incredible torus field in how it's expressing itself. And the 2, which is at the bottom of the G center, it's known as allowing in quantum human design. I think of it as a very receptive energy because it is this magnetic force that is calling things to us. So this is really good news, really for every type, because this is how we bring things into our life that we then get to respond to if we're generators, or how we get invitations if we're projectors, or if you're manifestors. It stimulates your ability to receive the guidance that you need, that is your creative impulses, and to help have the heart be a part of that direction that you're getting. And of course, for reflectors, this gives them the activation around that too, if they don't already have. So with Jupiter lighting it up, Jupiter is our blessings, right? And Jupiter, it gives us our blessings when we have received our life lessons, especially the life lessons that we have from Saturn. So if we just look at what's happening in the chart right now, and you can kind of take this and see how you might interpret it inside of your own human design chart, but Saturn right now is lighting up the gate 55, which is the gate of faith. It's about having the faith that we're going to have what we need when we're going to need to have it. And Jupiter is saying when you can really embody that mantra, when you can make it real in your life, then you can allow all good things to come to you through that magnetic monopole. So this is a really great place for you to be focusing on right now, because these two outer planets, these giants, if you will, are going to be shining the light on this for a while. So if you haven't paid attention, now's the time to really kind of wake up to what it is that Saturn is inviting you to do, and then to practice allowing, practice having things come to you, so that you're not so in the I gotta make things happen mode, which isn't good for any of us anyway if we're not manifestors. And so we can be in this kind of receptive, responsive state. Okay, and then on August 6th, the Earth moved into the gate 13, which is another one of the storytelling gates, and the Sun moved into the gate 7. So let's talk about the gate 13 first. So we just had the Sun in the gate 33, which is also a storytelling gate, and actually the 33 and the 13 are mates. They create a complete channel going from the G center up into the throat. So the 33 was on the throat. So that was really about manifestation and activation and communication. And then the 13 is on the G center. So all of the gates on the G center have to do with love, right? They all have to do with love. They have to do with love. They have to do with identity and direction in life, because those are the themes of the G center. So the 13 is, because it's more on the heart and not so much on the throat, it's not so much about activating that storytelling. And it is considered as the listener in traditional human design and narrative in quantum human design. And so people who have this sometimes have people who like to come and confess to them. That's what I say when I see this defined in somebody's chart. I'm like, do people like to come and tell you their story? Do they like to confess to you? Do they sometimes say, I've never told anybody this, but I'm going to share this with you? right? Does that happen? Well, this might happen for you during this transit that we're currently in, right? Because we have that 13 lit up. So it often is where someone wants to come and share it with you, but it's also an opportunity for you to get more in touch with the story that you're living inside of right now, right? What's the narrative, right, that you are telling yourself about who you are, about your love and lovability, about your identity, and about your direction in life? What story are you living inside of about yourself regarding that? And then if other people do come and want to share with you about their story, you can also be attuned to them about what story are they living inside of having to do with their love, their lovability, their identity, and their direction. Because one of the things that this 13 can do is, yes, it can be a listener, that it can also help to respond a bit to somebody who is sharing that way, to help to uplift the narrative, right? So that it is more empowering. Because sometimes our personal narratives about ourselves, like I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, I don't know who I am, I don't know what my direction in life is. Now, this can obviously happen for people who have an open G, but it can happen to anybody, really, given the way that we get programmed to have our lives go through relatively narrow, tracks, right? And so when you start to become disillusioned with those tracks, then you might be like, I don't know, I'm not quite sure who I am. I'm not quite sure what my direction in life is. There are many people who arrive at my virtual door for a reading who are in that place. Sometimes they talk about it in terms of purpose, like, I don't know what my purpose is. Or sometimes they talk about it in terms of, what they like or what they don't like. Because I'll say, well, what do you draw to? What lights you up? And they're like, I'm not quite sure. So some of that could be active during this time as well, that you have the opportunity to be able to really kind of going into that heart, and you can be tuning into that magnetic monopole and what is it allowing in, what is it attracting in. And you can change the quality of the energy of that too, to really just be allowing in the stories and the qualities of energy that are uplifting and empowering and awakening for you, and not being receptive and open to the ones that aren't. So we're grounding ourselves during this time with the earth in the gate 13. And then the sun in the gate 7 is resting on top of that earth. So the 7 is in the, these are actually both collective circuitry. So the 13 is in the sensing circuit. So it's over here on the left-hand side of the body. And then the 7 is over on the right-hand side of the body, and it's in the logic circuit, or the pattern circuit, which is what it's been renamed in quantum human design. So the 7 is an awesome energy. So it is half of the channel of the alpha in traditional human design, but it's really been kind of uplifted for a new world. So that rather than being the support for the president, which is the way I originally learned it, was like the chief of staff, right? The person who's behind the scenes, who actually knows everything that's going on, right? And the president, the 31, is kind of like a figurehead. We've been revising that, right? So it's not quite so hierarchical. And the 7 is now collaboration. So that's a collaborative energy that helps us to know how to work with each other by being able to see what's off in the patterns, or how can the pattern be elevated and enhanced, right, through our collaborative efforts to work with each other. So this really makes sense as collective energy. So one of the things for you to look at during this transit is, what are the collaborations that you're already involved in? Obviously, if you live with anybody in your house, hopefully you guys are collaborating in what's happening there, whether that's a partner or kids or parents or roommates or housemates or whatever it might be. But obviously, there's lots of opportunities for collaboration. So take a look at the collaborations that you're already in. And if you're not in any, you might see, where might I join into a collaboration? Collaboration is so important. It is the pillar number 7 of feminine sovereignty, of my book that's going to be out this fall. It's heading into production very soon. And it's mutually beneficial collaborations. And this is part of our evolutionary process, is for us to learn how to really create collaborations that work for everybody, right? Where it's not about, one more powerful party gets the other to collaborate, but it's not really in their best interest, right? We're breaking out of that whole paradigm. How are we creating a new way for us to be together that will benefit everybody? And we're going to do that grounded in this sense of what's the story we're inside of about who we are, what our direction in life is, and are we lovable, and can we love? Right? So those are kind of the questions that the Earth in the 13 is asking us. And then based on that story, who do we collaborate with? How do we collaborate? What is our direction as we're doing our collaboration together? How can we have mutual appreciation? How can we just really love each other from our hearts as we do this? How can we support a direction that is going to create really benefit for everybody who's involved? So those are the highlights for the transit that we're in right now, and we will be in through Friday. Then on Saturday, August 12th, the sun is going to move into the gate 4 and the earth is going to move into the gate 49. So the sun in the gate 4 is in the logic circuit. So it's right over here at left brain energy, right? And so the energy comes in through that 63. Which is the gate of doubt in traditional human design, or the gate of curiosity. And then the 4 receives that energy that's coming in, and it is known as answers in traditional human design or possibilities in quantum human design. Now let's just unpack this a little bit, because this is actually really important. I love the way that Karen Curry Parker, who's created quantum human design, has taken this kind of negative association of the beginning of the logic circuit, right? Doubt, right? I doubt it. And then where are your answers, right? Because the thing is that we often don't know how things are going to unfold. That's the mystery of life, right? I'm often saying to my clients, make room for the mystery in your life, right? Don't try to just nail things down and feel like you have to have answers. Because a lot of times when that energy comes in through that 63-4, what happens is that it kind of kicks in and goes, well, how is that going to happen? What is that about? And I doubt, since I don't know how it's going to happen, that I doubt it's going to happen. I actually did a reading for a woman really recently where she said that kind of thinking really rules her life, and she finds it very undermining. And so I want, if you have this, or if you start to feel it during this transit, I really want to help you break out of that, because if you can just kind of open up that energy rather than, because if you think of doubt, right, doubt and answers, it's kind of, right, it's kind of closed in, it's kind of tight, it's kind of like this. And that's the negative side of left brain energy. But instead, if you can be curious and you can be leaning into possibilities, right, then all of a sudden we're in a much more expansive state. We're in a place where we're like, I don't know. Let's be curious. Let's try things out, which is the very best way that science gets created. And science is in that logic circuit, right? The pattern circuit. And so we want to be able to engage with life in a more open, expanded place that allows for the mystery to come in. Because here's the truth of the situation. We human beings have very limited knowledge about how the universe works. I mean, we're ultimately so fascinated, and we've done so much in terms of Western science of being able to map and manipulate the physical world. And then in Eastern science, looking at the energetic components like of the physical body and so on. And yet, if we really are honest with ourselves, we know like just like a tiny little bit compared to the creative intelligence of the universe, right? And so let's make space in our lives for this intelligence to come in and be teaching us new things. And so if we're shut down and thinking we know and we can test things to find out what the truth is, to the exclusion of allowing in the mystery, we're really cutting ourselves off at the knees in terms of what it is that we can know. And also, it doesn't feel as good, right? It just doesn't feel as good. So let's just open things up and stay in a state of possibility, huh? So that sun in the gate 4 is resting on the earth, which is in the gate 49. So the gate 49 is in the tribal circuit, and it's in the commerce or the business subcircuit or the community subcircuit of the tribal circuit, which means that it's not necessarily about our super close in relationships, although this 1949 a lot of times is about our closer in relationships. And the 49 is on the emotional solar plexus, so it's emotional energy. So we want to be aware of that. And in traditional human design, it's called principles, and in quantum human design, it's the catalyst. It's also commonly thought of as the gate of revolution. And what this is about is, what are the principles upon which we engage in relationship? So principles or values are really key in terms of having good relationships, is that we are aligned around kind of the key principles for what a relationship operates on, right? I mean, for me, for example, honesty is really important, integrity, transparency, great communication skills, the willingness to hold the other person in the highest light, right? To be able to support us being able to work through things together. All of these different things, these are all principles that are things that I hold. And you have your own principles about what works for you in relationship. Well, you may not be as so aware of them. I've found this to be true among a lot of people, is that they're kind of submerged, right? They're kind of subconscious. They may not be so aware of what the principles are. So this is a great opportunity for you to kind of bring that to the surface in yourself and say, yeah, what are the principles upon which I enjoy being in relationship, and the ones that are important to me. So important that I would leave a relationship, right? It's a deal breaker, right? What are the deal breakers and what are the deal makers? That's kind of what this energy is about. And so the energy of revolution or catalyst is if a relationship is operating in an unconscious way, and it's not clear what the principles are, there's not an agreement, there hasn't been good conversation, there hasn't been good awareness, then bringing this up to the fore and having a deep conversation, sometimes it's a difficult conversation, could be, so that you can get on the same page, because relationships work best when you're on the same page about these kind of fundamentals. And then, so this can revolutionize your relationship, or it can be a catalyst for your relationship to really kind of be up-leveled, because you're much more clear about what the terms of your relationship is. Now, the thing about the 49 is, when you have this defined in your chart, and you may find this gets stimulated for you during this transit, is sometimes the 49 either stays in a relationship too long, even once the principles, violation of the important principles have been proven to be true, okay? Or the other side of it is, you violated my principles, I'm out of here. And sometimes that happens without a conversation. Like sometimes maybe you've had this happen to you, or maybe you've done this with somebody where they just disappear. They're just gone. They just stop returning your texts, or they don't call you, or they, whatever, right? They just disappear, and you're like, what happened? I'm not quite sure what happened. So that can be an example of the 49. And the other can be just kind of trudging along and trying to stick it out in a relationship that just is not working. And in either case, like being able to, like I said, bring to the surface what might be unconscious attachments to certain principles in relationship could help you have a breakthrough. It might have a really healing and powerful positive effect on a relationship if you were to have what potentially could be a difficult conversation, but doesn't necessarily have to be. You just have to be willing to go in with an open heart and with a sense of positivity and see what happens. You have a few more days to join us in Embody Your Human Design, which is a program that it's just started going, but we have our first intensive on the 12th on Saturday. So you can join us up until that time, and we would be happy to have you. We're going to journey together through the end of the year. We are diving into a totally out-of-the-box, leading-edge way of engaging with human design. And quite frankly, I have been blown away by what I am witnessing in what people who are already in the program, what is happening for them. They are people who've never painted before, are painting aspects of things that have been really challenging in their lives and having breakthroughs around that. People are having conversations between different aspects of their chart, like different types of circuitry, and creating inner peace inside of them where they always had conflict before, or this kind of overriding sense of that left brain intelligence, wanting to be dominating and shutting off the creative and intuitive aspects. Like there's already things that are happening that I'm just like, wow, this is really potent. And I can guarantee there's nobody out there teaching human design this way. We're really bringing together human design, intentional creativity, which is the process through which I do all these paintings, and Kundalini yoga, which is how we shift our state, and so that we can open up our access to our intuition and our creativity. Because a lot of times we've gotten kind of stuck in our state, and we need to literally change our brainwave state. And we can do that through Kundalini yoga. And when we do that, we start to gain access to all of these different intelligences and all of these different faculties that have kind of gotten squelched or rejected or suppressed, made wrong in the overculture. And a lot of times in our family, I know I had this in my family. You probably had some version of this in your family. So we are continuing to unleash ourselves, and we will be through the end of the year. So if you joined us for the Unleash Yourself intensive, or you wanted to but you weren't able to, and you're curious about this, I really encourage you to come and join us. The description will be down below, and the URL where you can get all the details and join. And please do just reach out to me if you're like, hey, I'm really interested in this, but I have some questions. Will you please email me? The email is here on YouTube, and I'll make sure it's down in the description too. Because I would love to hear from you. And really, this is about helping you make the decisions right for you. This is not really a sales conversation where I'm going to try to get you to do anything. I don't do that anymore. But I do want to help you get all your questions answered and help you work with your authority to find out if it's right for you. Okay. So I hope I'll see you there. And if not, I will see you in another video very, very soon. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.